get my 6. Okay, I'll admit it. I did that the lazy way. I was just sitting in the chair. I just leaned over. I'll point out, by the way, one of my new chairs. Broke all the old ones, so it was time to... Didn't really upgrade. I just replaced. Because that's what happens when I break chairs. I don't chase. I replace. Something like that. All right. So, in one day, saw one, heard one, and heard tale of one. Okay? But first, I'm going to show you some amazing footage that we captured last night from right here at our family campground. That's the undeniable evidence. This is my family. It's been gone for 3 months. They've been back 4 or 5 days now. This was our first night having a good time at our campground. Check this out for about a minute. All right, now, did you guys hear that in that video? Yeah, people have been requesting a night hunt. It's coming. That's what I'll say. It's coming. Now, what are these things? I saw one, heard one, and heard tale of one, all in the same day. Well, let me explain. Vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges. Bet you thought I was going to say, potentially, Bigfoot Sasquatch, didn't you? Nope. Let me explain. Guys, girls, don't be these people. All right, so like 3 months ago, 2.5 or 3 months ago, I remember walking into a place to get my hair cut. Dearly and Daniel had just left for the Philippines. And Dearly always cut my hair in the past, but so she was gone, so I went in. There was a sign on the door, and I mentioned this in a video, but this just dumbfounded me, and yeah, I see it. Keep your eyes on it and see if it moves. There was a sign on the door of this haircut place. It was not a fancy place. It was the type of place you could walk in. If you didn't have an appointment, you might have to wait 10 minutes, but they could get to you. You know what I mean? The type of places you would see in a plaza or something like that. There's a sign on the door that says, "Please be kind to our employees. They're working through very difficult times in order to serve you." And now this was still, the vaccines were just coming out. Everybody, at least where I live, was still walking around in masks. A lot of people were still staying home. and I just thought, wow, who can't understand that resources are a little bit more limited now? People in the workforce, a lot of folks left and still haven't gone back, and that's whatever, personal choice. And as I asked the lady in there that cut my hair, is it really necessary to have to put a sign up on the door to remind people to be kind? Because I'm confused with this whole be kind thing, because I know it started as like a mass market thing a couple of years ago, and it had political roots in it. It was a very subliminal way to pretty much say that the establishment at the time was mean, but instead of coming out and saying that, because that would be just to people who were in approval of the administration at the time would have taken offense to it. They would have seen it for what it was. But when you market kindness as just being kind, no one sees that. It's subtle. And this is not a conspiracy theory. This is marketing 101. I have a bit of experience in business, marketing, sales. This is just how it's done. And I thought, well, they're being kind of overreaching with this vast need for people to be kind, because don't most people just have common courtesy for others? Don't most people just have manners? Now, when I think of vertically challenged individuals, I think of the cowards who can be anybody they want to be from behind a computer screen with a keyboard and let it rip. You know, we're used to that. We get that all the time. We don't care. We ban them and move on. We don't respond. These are people in their mother's basements, or, you know, non-working spouses in their working spouses' basements. This is how they spend their time, you know. But I never thought there would be people out there in the real world who would show their backsides like this in person. So I asked the girl cutting my hair, is that sign really necessary? And she's like, yep, you wouldn't believe the way some people act when they come in here. So we're short-staffed, only half our staff's working because of COVID. People think they can walk right in there and get an appointment, and if they have to wait for up to an hour, if they have to come back, they would just have meltdowns, temper tantrums. I just shook my head. SMDH. Shake my D-word head. It's like, wow. I thought, well, nah, can't be. So I never thought much else about that. And I don't go out a whole lot. You know, I go out if I need to. Most of the stuff I buy online because I let the UPS people bring it to me, or the USPS or the FedEx or whatever other alphabets deliver stuff. But, you know, dearly, my wife, she likes to go out and buy stuff in person. I think she likes the experience of it, and that's fine by me. So when, you know, they're back now, so this week we've been going into town to get our chairs, among other things. So we're at Walmart yesterday at a checkout line, being checked out, and there was a line right beside us, and I just noticed this line was getting longer and longer and longer. So I look over, and what was going on is there was a woman there checking out. She was probably 70-ish, and she was with a man, probably her husband, but maybe not, who knows. I didn't know anything about this woman, other than the fact that she was incredibly rude, and she kept trying to get the cashier to do something that couldn't be done. I don't know exactly what it was. It's like she might have had like 4 different things, and she wanted to use 4 different cards to pay for them all. He'd already rung everything up, and then she wanted him to separate it and pay with this card and this. Something asinine like that. It was insane. And the guy said, ma'am, I can't do that. I can go something like I can cancel an order and then go through and ring them up one at a time and do that. And she goes, no, just break it up now. You already did it. Just charge this amount to this. He's like, ma'am, I can't do that. But to show her, he actually made an effort. He tried to do it. He tried every way he could think of on this system to appease this woman. The line just kept getting longer and longer, and you could see the people behind this woman and this guy that was with her that just, I'm willing to bet it was her husband, because he never said a word. And I bet he's been beaten into submission. He knew better to say anything, because by golly, he'd get it when they got home. So the guy actually tried this 4 times. And then, so the woman finally just gave him one of the cards and said, here, put it all on here. And so he's ringing her out, and she's like, I want to let you know that I do not appreciate the fact that you didn't even try to help me. He said, ma'am, I tried 4 times, and there's other customers in line. Here, you have a good day. Hands her back her card and her receipt. She steps back. The next woman in line comes up to pay for her stuff. And this woman stands off and just says some of the creepiest stuff to this guy I've ever heard. She says, I will remember you. I'm looking at you right now, so I will remember your face. I will not forget your face, and I will remember you. I promise you that. And then she grabbed her little, beta male husband and got on out of there. And I thought, wow, I thought these people only existed behind keyboards, down there in mommy's basement, or working spouse's basement, who works to support the household so that mortgage payment or rent can be paid for that basement for that person to stay in all day and do these things. But something came over me, and I thought, if I was that cashier right now, what would I want to happen right now? And I thought I would want a random stranger just to say something kind to me. So I did. They were still ringing me up. Dearly bought one of everything she saw, so we were there for a while. Not really, but she got a lot of stuff. So I walked over and I said to the guy, I said, hey, excuse me. And he looks up and I said, I want you to know that I appreciate you for being here. You know, there's a lot of folks who haven't come back to work yet, and that's their choice, but you've made the choice to come here and you're providing a service for us. And I want to let you know that I appreciate you, even though you're not my cashier. This guy over here is. And he smiled. He lit up like a Christmas tree from ear to ear. And he said, thank you so much. And I said, and everybody in line, they're frustrated for having to wait, but they appreciate you too, don't you? And they were all like, yeah, thanks. We're sorry you had to put up with that from that woman. That was just mean of her. Thanks for, and so everybody was thanking the guy. And I was like, wow, it worked. And I'm not saying, hey, pat myself on the back. Look at me, my random act of kindness. Let's broadcast it to potentially millions of people this month on YouTube. It's not about that. So that's the one I saw. It's just my mind was blown that these people are not just in mommy's basement or working spouse's basement. They're out there among the general public. I mean, they had to put a sign up at the haircuttery. I saw one with my own eyes, in Walmart. So then later that day, because we're out running some errands, I had to ship out, kind of telling us a little bit out of order as far as where the places are, but I had about 30 books I had to mail out that you folks have bought from Etsy, the autographed kinds you can get in print. The link's in the description box below, and if you thought I was actually going to make a video and not plug my books, really? Are you one of those people in the basement? Buy my books? Folks, I'm not going to call you brah. You don't deserve that. So there's like 5 or 6 different post offices in Charlottesville, and there's a post office in every little outlying community. You got all these little, like, tiny, outside of city limits, but still in the county places. Just to name some names, like Crozet, Ivy, what's the one over there? Earlysville, Free Union, just all these little communities, little farming communities mostly, or places that have subdivisions where a lot of the folks live, but then they go into Charlottesville to work every day. Most of these places have a post office. There's like 3 inside city limits, or 4 if you count the one at the university and the student union. One of the best kept secrets if you need to mail stuff out and you don't want to wait in line, by the way. What's the point I'm trying to make here? Okay, so we stopped at one of these satellite branches, okay? And I'm not going to say which one, but what I will say is that the woman that works in there as the postmaster is a wonderful person. She's a wonderful human being. She's knowledgeable. She's been with that organization for almost 40 years. And unfortunately, 3 weeks ago, her husband died of cancer, okay? I go in there. There's no line. It's great. I walk right up to the counter. They got this wonderful new young lady in there, just not been there long. And I can hear, because the postmaster's working her backside off because they're so busy everywhere, while being berated by this vertically challenged individual who lives under a bridge, or her working spouse's basement, or her aged parents' basement. Over something that wasn't even this woman's fault. Situation was, she was having a problem with the main post office in Charlottesville, which is huge. I used to work there. They've got over 100 routes now. Keswick, that's the one I was thinking of. Keswick is a nice little tiny bedroom community of Charlottesville. It had 4 mail carrier routes on it. For the last 2 centuries, everybody in Keswick has gotten their mail on time, every day, never a problem. Tiny little post office, wonderful post master in there. Wanda, I think, I've met her. I believe that's her name. I've only met her once. Wonderful woman. Everything was perfect. But then the people higher up, who don't live in the area, who don't live in the community, and aren't aware of well, they are aware of the massive problem they have in Charlottesville. They just don't care. They decide to take these 4 mail routes from Keswick and put them into the main Charlottesville office. So now at the Keswick post office, you can go in if you have a P.O. box, but if you're depending on your mail being delivered there, your carriers are now coming from Charlottesville, a 40-minute drive away. So it puts them, but it's a mess. It's become a mess. So my point of this is not to tell you how inefficient and how stupid the postal system is, because I've done that. I made that video about that. The people that work there are wonderful. The carriers, these two postmasters I've mentioned, these two women, wonderful people, wonderful human beings. But the one is getting ripped apart by some woman on the phone because she's got a problem with the post office in Charlottesville. She calls, nobody will answer the phone because that's what they do. You just get put on hold forever. And I used to tell people this when I was a mail carrier. They'd say they were going to call the postmaster because they got the wrong mail the day before. They'd complain to me about it. They'd start yelling at me. I'm like, they'd say, I'm going to call the postmaster on you. And I'd be like, they'd be like, you're going to lose it. I'm like, they're not going to answer the phone, brah. They don't care. So anyway, I guess this woman was upset that they didn't care. They didn't answer the phone. So they called this other lady out here in a satellite branch that has nothing to do with the main office just to yell at her. Just because, by golly, she was going to yell at somebody and she was going to be mean to somebody. And this woman answers her phone in her branch because she deals with people in a smaller community. And you'll see her. You go by there. She's outside on the bench talking with her customers. They know her by name. She knows her customers by name. But this woman on the phone is just screaming and screaming and screaming. And this lady just lost her husband 3 weeks ago. They were married for 35 years. They were together for 35 years. They have adult children. He just passed away, lost his battle with cancer. But this woman on the phone, by golly, somebody was just going to hear her complain. I thought, man, this is terrible. This is horrible. But you know what? That woman in the post office, she knows my wife and kid too. And so she got off the phone, sent out the books, told them they were back. They're actually out in the truck, staying in the air conditioning. And she went out and talked to my family and felt better, I think. But I couldn't. She has to go through that every day because there's so many vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges who actually, I guess, it's not just for social media content creators. If you work with the public. So anyway, here's the third one. So I told you about the one I saw at Walmart. Man, that was creepy. It's like that old woman was like a witch or something, and she was going to go home and make like a one of those dolls you poke needles into, and it hurts the person that it's supposed, like you make an effigy of the person, a voodoo doll or something. So anyway, saw her, heard the one on the phone. So then, before we left town, we actually stopped at a little convenience store. And it's about 1.5 miles down the road from another convenience store that we used to go to, but they're closed now. They're no longer in business. And we'd never been in this store. It's crazy. The one we went to when we were in town this time, and it's very old. And so Dearly was asking the lady working there how old it was. And the lady said she didn't know. She said that she knew she graduated from high school here locally in 1980. And at that time, that store was there and it was old then. So, you know, a lot of old stuff around here. It's Virginia. I mean, the first state, you know, to be settled by the English when they came over in 1604. It's funny, when I lived out on the West Coast, I'd go to some of these historical places in Washington State, and they'd talk about how this place was established in 1878, and I'm like, man, we were there 250 years before that, where I, came from out here. Of course, everybody in England's laughing at me, and everybody from everywhere, whatever. So here's the point. They're small talking, and Dearly said, I'm surprised that other store, why did that other store go out of business? And she said, honey, they didn't go out of business. Somebody broke in there and stole a bunch of stuff and then set it on fire. We're like, what? Yeah. The story was, as she told us, that when they were letting people out of jail and prison because of COVID, some guy that had been in jail or for I don't even know what, got out, and like his first or second day out, he broke into this convenience store, stole all the lottery tickets, then set the place on fire. And then I guess the next day, he stole all the scratch tickets, the ones that had winning numbers on them. He took them to another convenience store across the street to cash them. I guess he didn't realize those lottery tickets have tracking numbers on them. And all you got to do is put it in the system and find out which store those lottery tickets were distributed to for sale. And like, boom, okay, well, here's the guy, the winner chicken dinner, all this money. Hey, guess where he got to go back to? So I don't know. It's just strange. Made me realize all I got to do is read the nasty comments about how ugly I am. Why would I want to make videos with my shirt off anyway, with teeny little arms like mine, spaghetti noodle arms, and about how whatever, all these, I've been insulted so many times I can't even remember. Whatever. But hey, man, I tell you, you see like that guy at Walmart and that postmaster and whoever owned that store, and I've talked to the owner. He is a good guy. He's a little bit younger than me, but he took a chance to go into business for himself. He had the store for about 2 years before it got vandalized and burned down. And unfortunately, I guess the truth is that sign I saw on that haircut place 3 months ago, sadly, is needed. And I guess maybe it's not a subtle political marketing ploy that was going around when, you'd see a Bank of America commercial and they'd say, Bank of America, you can have free checking, free savings, and kindness. You go to get a Domino's pizza, it'll say, make sure to order your soda and a side of hot wings. Free side of kindness with every order. Everybody was doing it. Watch commercials. Timex is the best kind of watch in the world because that's the kind I buy. Plus, we're kind. Maybe my first theory that it was like a subtle political ploy isn't the case. I think maybe I stand corrected. I think, unfortunately, we might live in a place where people need to be reminded to be kind. So, guys, be kind, man. If you have to, listen, I learned this years ago. When you're in line, when you're waiting, you can either wait patiently or you can wait impatiently. But either way, you still have to wait. And there's nothing that person that's standing up for 8 to 12 hours a day on their feet that maybe gets 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch during that 10 or 12-hour shift. There's nothing they can do differently than what they're already doing in most cases to make your wait any shorter. Make it pleasant yourself by just not getting upset, not showing your backside, not threatening to put a hex on anybody. And when you get up to that cashier, say a kind word. Make their day maybe a little more pleasant. And don't be calling any neighboring post offices to yell at people about the one down the road. Man, all right, so that's your story for today. Saw one, heard tell of one, all in the same day. Let's just say I prefer staying out here having those wonderful campfires with my family now that they're back. So everybody have a good weekend. We'll see you for more next time. From here at Homesteading Off the Grid and whatever the hell this channel is about.